Overthrow II principally is a book written between eatbigfish and PhD, and it was set out in order to demonstrate some of the new ways in which brands are challenging the status quo. What we found really interesting when writing it was that despite the differences in all the brands, difference in brand character, difference in category, different in competitors, they all had some things in common. We found the fact that they had some things in common really fascinating in the first instance, because we were just cherishing how different they are. But these three things really stood out. And the first one was all about effectiveness and efficiency. And I think these brands that we studied really had such a defined view as to what it was that they were searching for. And that was effectiveness first. And I think that is counter-category culture at the moment, because so many brands and organizations are geared towards efficiency. And the reason why it's such a crucial difference is that these brands that we study, our challenger brands, it turned out that they were essentially being very efficient by virtue of being effective. Whereas many other brands that we possibly wouldn't consider challenger brands tend to focus on efficiency first, and it's rare that brands would become effective by virtue of being efficient. So in studying the media behaviours of these challenger brands, what we were noticing is it looked like they would invest in stuff that on face value didn't appear to be very efficient, but for the very fact that it worked so incredibly well, made it extremely effective and made it efficient, therefore. Yeah. So that's the first one. The second one is these brands all had a very clear idea of putting attitude first. And this works extremely well for them in that, I mentioned before, these are brands that tend to have very big mouths and they look to court attention. And they do it by having a very clear point of view on at least one thing, probably one thing, possibly some other connected things to that one thing, but a really clear view. And that view might be quite divisive, but they stand for it. They stand for it and they champion it. And the remarkable thing is they will draw buyers from people that don't just share that point of view and don't necessarily agree with them, but they are seduced by the power of that, forthright standing for something. And so what I see is a difference for challenger brands versus non-challenger brands is these brands take a defined point of view, but a very broad audience. So they are telling everyone, not just the people that they think align with their stories, but they're telling everyone and are unapologetically confident for believing in what they believe in. And I think it tends to work incredibly well. It creates disproportionate attention, disproportionate memory, ultimately disproportionate salience, which has a disproportionate effect on sales effect. And the third one, quite simply, is that they are all rule breakers. We say in the book, the rule breakers really are ruling. And what we mean by this is that they are looking at every single category convention. They're looking at the behaviours that exist in the category and from the competitors to date. And they're challenging what they think is now outdated or not appropriate or just not right for that brand or that category. And they're doing it in dramatic effect. They're doing it creatively. They're doing it to court attention through every touch point, be it packaging, be it PR, be it the product shape itself. They're courting attention in ways by virtue of breaking down category convention. And it means they stand out. These brands are outstanding at standing out.